Welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. We talk every week, folks, about the digital world and how loud and crowded it is, and everybody's screaming something, whether they're right or wrong. And there's like a million new people every week out there. So you need professionals like the folks at Oak City Tech to help you get seen and found by your future clients. So go to oakcitytech.com, tell them what you're looking for. I know they'll be able to help you. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning. Each week on Triangle BNI, we bring you a small business success story. If you are not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle is Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. We're expanding it to Greenville today for our guest. And there are about 35 chapters, about 520 members each week. We get together, and our number one goal is to help each other grow our businesses. And our guest today is Fred Austin. Fred is an independent associate of LegalShield. He is in one of the Greenville chapters, GV01. They meet Wednesdays at 8 a.m. Right now, they are on Zoom. Good morning, Fred. How are you?
Good morning, Mike. Glad to be here.
Glad to have a veteran BNI person here, and I think you're probably the fourth person from the Greenville area, which we still consider part of Triangle BNI. So always fun to have folks. Just I like different. You know what? I don't live in Greenville. I've been there a few times. My brother is an ECU grad and a football season ticket holder, so I've been down there on occasion. But just a welcoming, fun city when I go down there.
We try to make that welcome mat nice and fun. ECU has that reputation of quite a party school in addition to its academia, and we like to live up to that reputation.
Oh, yeah, the law school, the nursing school, right? I mean, there's all kinds of stuff down there, and a tough loss Saturday night to UCF, man.
Oh my God, what a heartbreaker that was! I
I
tell you.
felt for you. That would have been a good win, a much needed win, but college football in the South in the fall, not much better, so
Yeah, you can't beat college football. I'll tell you.
no, and I could do a great segue here talking about how ECU and other college all the other football teams protect their quarterback and then roll right into Legal Shield, but, that'd be too easy for a professional like me, so we'll just talk about with Legal Shield, I don't think a lot of us and we've had this discussion with previous guests that are homeowners. I don't know that we all go and protect ourselves, go do some research and protect ourselves as much as we should. So with Legal Shield, I know there's all kinds of ways you guys help consumers.
There is, we have a saying that bad things happen to good people, and we also don't realize, most people don't realize how nice it is to have an attorney to be able to answer questions as they pop up. We always think of needing an attorney when I'm in trouble. When I'm running up ahead against the law, and now I need help. That's not the only reason, and that's only actually a small portion of the legal profession. So there's opportunities for families to get that advice that they need, but it comes at a cost. So people that only benefit from that cost are the only ones that are able to afford it. So it sets up a caste system, if you will, and it creates an imbalance in our justice system where we are actually guaranteed that justice through our Constitution. So it's nice to have that accessibility. We're leveraging technology nowadays where we have an app. You just tap the app and you're talking to an attorney and getting those questions answered. And it's a subscription-based service. So you don't get a bill beyond your subscription. And that's the sweet part.
Well, and that's one of the things that I talk about pretty regularly that I've learned at BNI is to shop local. And even though Legal Shield is national, Fred is local in Greenville. So I know your clients have your phone number and you're able to sit with them and explain. It's kind of like car insurance. I mean, I've not needed any, well, my wife, let me go back because somebody, boy, I got T boned about 2.5 years ago.
Oh,
Chat my butt because I bought a van. Yes, I'm older. Love a minivan because I sit up high, I got room for everything. And when I went to buy it, the guy at the dealership said, "Would you like any gap insurance?" And I said, "No." So I always tell people, if you buy a car, get the gap insurance because I didn't have this van more than a month. And I was driving through a neighborhood one night, a couple kids were horsing around, and one ran a stop sign and T-boned me. And I had to pay like 3 grand out of pocket because that was the difference of what I bought it for just in a month. And,
Yep.
you know, and because it was totaled. But just things like that where, my wife hasn't needed auto insurance for years, no tickets, no accidents, no anything. But you're right, it's that one time it happens, it's like, "Man, I'm glad I signed up for this."
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Y you just never know, you don't know what's coming, because life happens, and so that way you're prepared ahead of time, be proactive instead of reactive is so much better, and the nice thing about it is if you compare the insurance analogy, you kind of afraid to use your car insurance because you risk your rates going up. Um, it seems like that's what you're paying your premiums for is to
Mm.
help you. Um, but with the Legal Shield, if you use the insurance analogy, you can use it as much as you want, and your rates just don't change.
A
So
and somebody's always gonna answer the phone, it's not like, "Oh, it's 5:30 Eastern time, I can't call anybody anymore till tomorrow morning."
that's right. In cases of emergency, in the cases of a wreck like that, um, personal injury, you have that app, just tap the app 24/7. You're actually talking to an attorney, and then they can guide you through the process of making sure the accident report is filled out correctly, what to say to the officers, make sure that they are also doing their investigation properly as well. So you have that ability to do that. Um,
The other thing I like what you guys offer though, and we hear it all the time, Fred, but most of us don't take action on it, and that's identity theft. I mean, if
oh
we
my
think
God.
about what's out there, I mean, I was talking to a client of mine last week who's doing some advertising for his business with geofencing. And most people have no idea how many times your cell phone number is grabbed in a given day when you're driving around or walking into a building. And I've got another friend of mine who geofences his competitors' locations just to grab all the information he can about their clients.
Yeah.
So we have no idea. Yes, Big Brother is watching and they're grabbing us our information all the time. So it'd be nice to have some protection, wouldn't it?
It sure would. And the nice thing is that not only do we do a lot of the monitoring that a lot of other companies offer, um, but we also monitor some areas that they don't. Your 401k, you would think that that's a safe place to be, but a lot of times the hackers are after that. Um, and the funny thing is a lot of people think identity theft is that they want to steal from me, but that's totally wrong. That's the opposite of what they do. They actually create duplicates of you, little mini yous all over the place. They'll create you, you, and you, and you. And they'll get their own credit lines. They'll do all their own identity theft, creating medical fraud, um, ID fraud, fake driver's licenses and stuff like that. So, if they get pulled over um, and come to find out, and they get a ticket, but it's in your name, you know, and then later on, you're on a family vacation and you go through a traffic stop and just a license check and they check your license and then, oh, there's a warrant for your arrest, please step back in the car, and it's for something that where you've never been, ever heard of, or ever even experienced, but it's all in your name. So you pay the consequences. So what we do is that we go the step further. Instead of alerting you saying, hey, your email and identity, it has been identified in this security breach and that security breach. You get that dozens all the time. It doesn't do any good to just know about it. It's you have to take action. So what we do, and we're the only company that does it, is that we provide a licensed private investigator to go and work for you to clean up your records for you. Um, and no matter how long it takes, it could take years, and it could cost lots, thousands and
Oh, yeah.
thousands of dollars, to do that recovery. And that's all included in your membership. You don't have to pay anything extra to have all that happen.
And then with technology, it's getting so bad. My wife and I, we have a phone provider, and we get texts from somebody pretending that they're our phone provider saying, "Congratulations, Mike, you've won this week's drawing."
Yep.
And they're begging me to click here.
Yeah, that's a relatively new one. The last month or so, it's popping up on my phone, a couple times a day.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm glad I'm so lucky in winning all these
I've
things,
never
right?
won so much in my life and lost so much.
Yeah, that's right.
But
And
even
also,
that's going on. So everybody's trying to get at us. You're right. They want our information. And I learned this probably 7 or 8 years ago. It never dawned, well, didn't really dawn on me because I didn't think about it that much, that they want your information as much for health insurance and to
yeah.
be able to go into a hospital than they do emptying out your ATM account.
Well, it's even worse than that. Medical fraud is the number one fraud. There are desperate people out there that need surgeries, and they can't afford it, so they'll go to the black market and buy an identity, and then use that identity throughout their medical experience, and then once they're out, they vanish, in that sense. But the bill is in your name
Yep.
with your social security number. Well, you're Fred Austin, right? Yeah. And this is your social security number, isn't it? Wait, yeah. Well, guess what? You have a bill.
Yeah. Or worse, you're coming with us, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's, amputations where you have still both legs and
Mhm.
arms.
Yeah.
It's shocking how that goes on.
Yeah, and the cost of that to do for you to fight it as Citizen Fred without
Yeah.
any coverage, it'd bankrupt you probably.
Yeah, it's very expensive. You have to take time off of work.
Mm.
You have to hire your attorneys at the standard rates, and it's a mess. It
E
is really a mess.
Even though you're walking into the courtroom with both legs and the money was from, they had to take my right leg, right? A
Yeah,
little common
yeah,
sense, but that's another podcast, so
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's just the little things like that that, yeah, what are the odds it's gonna come back on you? Don't know. Wouldn't even begin to tell somebody that it will, because I don't know, but man, you're right, the one time it does, it's like the
Well,
world dropping down on you.
and it accumulates over years too. It may not be truly discovered until you're amazingly, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt.
Mhm.
You don't know that boat riding by on the trailer behind that nice truck might be yours.
It just says thank you on the back. You're wondering like, "Wow,
That's right.
who are they thanking?" Do things like that come up if you're getting ready to buy a house? Would something like that be part of the due diligence on the closing attorney?
Yeah, absolutely. Where you run into that, that's usually in a common credit check, though. Well, you'll find some of those
Okay.
markers. Yeah,
And how often do you recommend people, because you get 1 free credit check a year on yourself?
right.
Is
Well,
that through each of the 3 services or just once a
that
month?
I think you get a free one from each of the services
Okay.
once a year now. But with our service, you get it as soon as you open up the app. You just open up the app, and right there at the beginning, when you log into your ID Shield app, it shows you what your credit rating is right at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And if you obviously are a Legal Shield client, if I steal your information and I live in Boise, Idaho, and I go to use your information, does how long does that take for it to get to you, that or the company that like, "Hey, somebody's trying to use your Social Security number?"
well, once it flags it, very quickly. As soon as it makes the rounds into the system, it then says, "Well, oh, wait a minute. the ID Shield says, "No, this is wrong," and it flags us, it just sends us an email, sends us a text message, and it alerts in the app as well.
Good. Yeah, and then they show a picture of 28-year-old Fred Austin in Boise, Idaho, who's 6'6", and, right?
Yeah,
Which, would have been nice, but, wrong time, wrong place. So, we are here with Fred Austin, independent associate for LegalShield. Fred is in GV01. That's a Greenville chapter. So if you're in the Greenville area, Wednesday mornings at 8 a.m., they're on Zoom right now. But if you want to meet a good group of small business owners, tight group, they're always helping each other, and you're in the area, please go to their website and jump on Zoom and join their chapter. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. What can we control out there, folks? Speaking of Fred and protection and technology and everything, well, we don't control much in the way of social media. Somebody owns your Facebook pages, somebody owns your Instagram account, somebody probably could shut down your YouTube channel. So you need to find ways to make sure you can always communicate with your past, your current, and your future clients. One easy way to do that is through emails because you have their email address. So you can continue to talk with them through folks like Oak City Tech. They can help you set up an email campaign so you can keep promoting your business, find your ideal clients. Go to oakcitytech.com, tell them what you're looking for. I know they'll be able to help you. All right, Fred, just doing research that I normally do for guests on the show. You got a lot of stuff going on. So let me see if I get this right. Okay. So not only is he a distinguished member of his BNI chapter, he's also the mentor coordinator. So that means he helps all the members in there, especially the new ones. Fred's also a consulting director like I am, which means we help other chapters and we enjoy doing that. So I've got you not only with Legal Shield, but you are a technology director at Oakwood Schools.
that's right. It's a single school. It's an independent school in Greenville. We do pre-K all the way through 12th grade. Um, it- it's an administrative role that I've uh, walked into in back in 2002. So this
Mhm.
is my 20th
Yep.
school year. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. What we do is uh, how I got involved with it is they wanted to have technology in the hands of the students every day, all day, if they needed it. And depending on the age of the group, um, how much their needs vary. Of course, the little ones, they don't have that long a period of time each day, but there's a little segment each day they're involved with the technology. But the older you get, the more necessary to have that information on your
Mhm.
fingertips. It creates an active engagement in the learning, and so it's a lot of fun to see them just fly away with it. They're so eager to learn. It's not funny. Um, it's amazing to watch them.
It's interesting looking at you and I are about a half hour older than a lot of other people. I'll just leave it at that. And looking at today's world, I always go back to if I've got a 3-year-old grandson. My kids are both my boys are a little bit older than your kids. I've got a grandson, and just what his life is going to be like. I guess when he goes to kindergarten or by the time he's in third grade, I mean everything is digital. It's all electronic. He's going to have to learn that. Whereas you and I don't know the first computer you got. Do you remember when it was?
Um, I think it was 1983
Yep.
is when and actually we started using in the business I was in prior to that, right in the early 80s. Um, so yeah, it becomes we're not we're digital foreigners, whereas the kids today are, are digital natives.
I
So that
like that.
3-year-old, and I don't mean to contradict, but actually that 3-year-old will know way more going into school, how
Oh
to
yeah.
use the technology.
Yeah. Oh,
It's very
yep, in a couple years, he's
natural.
gonna be programming my cell phone for me, and I'll be happy to hand it to him. Yeah, I mean, I know
Yeah,
I know ex it's funny, the older I get, the fewer, demographic groups I'm part of. Nobody really wants them to they don't advertise towards me. Wilford Brimley died, so it's not like they're sending any kind of oatmeal or anything to me, right? Or whole grain
yeah,
bread or whatever. But, yeah, the older I get, the fewer people care what I care about.
yeah. That's right. That's right.
But just the change in the technology, right? And its importance of the day. And again, that's where everything is. So these kids are, at least they're in a school where they're learning on that. Cause I know a lot of people aren't, uh, they're not able to have as much connection with technology as some other kids.
That's right. It does give them an advantage, to be able to use these tools instead of for watching videos and
Yeah.
playing games on, but actually a tool of learning. And so the interesting thing is that your 3-year-old grandson, they'll be looking for opportunities that don't even exist, that
Oh yeah.
haven't been invented yet. So how do you educate for um, something that doesn't exist? So you look at critical thinking, decision making, fact gathering, and fact gathering is been very muddied since the advent of the internet and the freedom of information.
Well
So that
said.
makes the job a lot harder.
Yeah.
Um, but then again, you can think about it. When we were doing our research, we had to go to the library,
Yeah.
and we had to do this and find all our different resources on hard copy. Now those resources are at their fingertips, and it's exciting to see that.
Oh, and my wife and I benefit from that just watching TV because we'll see somebody. It's like, we've seen them before. Man, I go straight to IMDb, pull up their page, like, oh, that's where we saw them in that movie a couple years ago about this. And so
Yeah,
technology in the right hands is wonderful. I'll just leave.
it-
I've said that for a long time. I'll just leave it at that. But what I like with kids though is the creativity and what they're able to do on a laptop or an iPad, designing colors or video motion, anything like that. That's where I get impressed with people is like, how in the world, A, you had to think that up, and then B, how'd you make that happen? To do a 20-second cartoon digitally and just
right.
that kind of creative skills.
Yeah, it is amazing. I got started in the technology, in the graphic arts, and disrupted the publishing industry, and the ad marketing industry um, in the started in the '80s. And for me to do that, it takes me forever. It just and then these kids today, they just
Yeah.
in minutes they have something up. I had a guy help me out with and this was a student, help me out with a logo. I wanted to just simply spin on an axis, and so I was describing this, and while we were talking, a 5-minute conversation, he shoots me. How does this look?
Oh.
I'm going,
Yep.
well, that's exactly what I
Yep.
was trying to say.
And I'm sure your kids are like mine that everything is on their phone. They rarely go to a computer to look anything up anymore. It's all on they
Oh,
just do it on their phone.
yeah, yeah. It's amazing that that's the most valuable real estate in the world right now.
Yeah. And what that'll become in 5 years, is it just our palm and we'll have something and, through our eye, we can look at it and say, "No, more blue over here," and, rotate this 10 degrees, and they can look at it right there. So, I'm copywriting that, so if anybody's thought of that, I just told you you can't, so you owe me 10% at least, so on that.
Good good luck
Uh,
with that.
yeah, I know. With most of my good ideas, yeah, no, I'm not gonna monetize that. You're 20 years with Nova is it Novus Micro?
So Novus Micro is, yes, is a small business that I operate. It's kinda wound down pretty much. I have, like, 1 client now. Um, but, it was outsourcing, technology outsourcing,
Okay.
uh, make it convenient for people to, do special projects because, their staffing is limited. They know how to do it, they just don't have the time to do it. So we
Yeah,
come in there like, the Green Berets, come in there, get the job done efficiently, and boom, we're out.
yep. Alright, so here's the favorite thing I learned about you. I did not know this. I knew where you went to school, but I didn't know how you went to school. Let me just tease it that way. So on your LinkedIn page, you got a BS in biology from East Carolina.
That's right.
Wonderful school. You started there in the year of 1972, and you graduated in the year of 1990. Now, I know people like to study, Fred, but that wasn't my first thought when I saw those 18 years. But you did say that you fell in love, got married, and your son one day finally said, "Dad, get a job."
That's right.
So 18 years, walk me through some of those, highlights there.
Well, see, so originally I was on the 20-year plan to graduate, but I finished early. I did it in 18. So, so there's that.
Your parents
That
are so proud, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, so what happened is that I ran out of money, which was always tight to begin with. Starting, it was the first time in my family to go to a 4 year, and so all of that economics was playing out. I ran out of money, the maturity ran out of that. I'm not sure it was there to begin with, um, but yeah. Then I got involved in the business world in a couple of startups and whatnot, and uh, wine was involved with that. Um, Started to managed the very first wine shop in the city of Greenville.
Wow.
So that was a lot of fun. And then I ended up going wholesale after that. But anyhow, yep. And my son was born in 1978. Um, and he did say that, I tried. I went back to school after he was born, started that spring semester, and it just wasn't working out. So had to put the brakes on that again. And
W
so I did do some startups and whatnot. Learned a lot along the way. We sold a company that we started up, and I had a couple opportunities, and they would find out. I'd even go through an interview process, multi-level interview process, and they said, "Well, exactly when did you graduate?" Because on the resume, if you look at the dates, like you brought
Yeah.
up earlier, it looks like I've been there 4 years. And say, "Well, honestly, I have not finished my degree." Boom, end of conversation. Get up and walk out, and
Yeah.
leave me alone in the room.
Yet you
Please.
had started a business and sold it
Oh
during
my
that
God.
time, and you get no credit for it, which is,
Oh,
again, another podcast on a college degree, but if you bring
yeah.
some street cred to the job, I kinda think they need to sit and listen to that a little bit more.
And this was in the pharmaceutical industry too, and I had that biology background. Um, so that I kept banging my head on that, and then finally I said, "Nope, finally, I'm going back. I don't care what it does." And finish up. And I did. And as soon as I finished up, um, my income opportunities doubled. So,
Yeah, isn't that something?
yeah,
Yep,
just to get it perspective.
were you the oldest one in your graduating class?
Well, there was often students would ask me, "Well, what courses was I teaching?" So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or did you vote for Kennedy? Oh, yeah,
Uh,
just they're all there, aren't they? So,
oh, yeah, absolutely. Uh,
looking back on that, what would you have changed anything?
hmm, it's hard to say. I really have accepted all of my decisions. Um, and would I have changed anything? Maybe stuck it out and get that, in that the original 4 year plan of a lot of people are 5th year seniors. That 4 or 5 years, maybe you should have stuck that out a little bit better. But you know, that in hindsight, that's probably the only thing I would have changed.
What would you have missed out on any of those, business startups if you had just stayed in school for 4 years, or do you think may could have done both?
Well, you see that would have created a different path, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Whereas, I have a BS in biology, and have I ever worked professionally in biology?
No.
No. Um, so if I did finish that BS biology, um, there was probably a different path that I would
Yeah.
have taken. One of the things is that I didn't want to be a lab rat I don't like being cooped up inside. So it would have been in something in, the environmental areas and stuff like that. So there could have been a path back into the, into the entrepreneurial avenues
All right,
because I just have that kind of motivation.
yep. All right, so let me tie in something here, see if I can, help with the timeline. So one of my favorite questions on the show for folks that are married is I like to ask them, so your wife's name is Debbie. So how did you and Debbie meet, and do you both tell the story the same way?
Oh, I believe the story will be the same way. Uh, I know some have their own versions, but she actually bought a house in a neighborhood that the realtor was a former roommate of mine, and there was a Christmas party from another former roommate of mine being hosted in that neighborhood, and so I brought my uh, gal that I was dating for a while, and she was brought by her realtor, just so she can get to know the neighbors. And we met that night, and it was funny. I says, "Wow, I need to know more about this gal." So we started talking on the phone a bunch, um, and maybe for this is old school, right? Talking on the phone.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
We'd talk for hours. I'd get some of the other neighbors in the neighborhood to play Trivial Pursuit or some other kind of games to so that we would be brought together, get to know each other, and on not Valentine's Day, but the day after Valentine's, um, we actually had our first date, and it was all um, roses and whatever since.
And what great establishment did you take her to for your first date?
We love it. We reenact that every year, by the way. It's a business is no longer in business, but it was Frank's Pizza. It was a pizza parlor in Greenville. So we had pizza and beer, and so it was a high class first date. Um, but some of my favorite foods,
Now,
and
what year was that you 2 met?
that was 1984.
Alright. So going back to if young Fred stays in school for 4 years, does he ever meet young Debbie?
Probably not.
That's
Probably not.
I love yeah, it's funny how things work out,
Yeah.
you know, because 'cause you're right, if you get the biology degree, I mean, there's probably a chance you somehow connect biology and technology, and that sends you down a different road, and Lord, you could have been in Omaha, Nebraska as a sales rep for something, right?
No, there is no telling wherever the wind may blow, right?
Well, good for you. I've not met Debbie, but good for you that that you met her, right?
Yeah, yeah, very happy with that outcome. Yeah.
Y'all have 2 kids?
I have my son, 1978 was from a previous wife.
Okay.
Um, but we do have a daughter
Alright.
who's 21. She is up in Appalachian State as a senior, psychology senior.
Oh, look out.
Um,
Is she more
yeah.
like mom or dad?
Um, a mixture of both. Nice blend of both. Yeah, yeah.
I always laugh with my brother and sister on what genes our parents did or didn't give us, and it seems like the older we get, the more we realize, yeah, like my dad, we would go on vacation, so it was my mom, my dad, my older sister, me, and my younger brother, and we'd all have a suitcase, and he would say, "Okay, take the suitcases out to the car, and everybody go back in the house." And we're like, "Okay." So we walk back in the house, like 8 minutes later, he walks back in, he goes, "Okay, we're good to go." The trunk was packed, the lid was slammed down shut, the car's ready to go. I'm like and he never passed that gene to me. Spatial relations, I'm horrible.
Oh boy. Yeah, yeah. It's I am blessed with special relations
Yeah.
and then that's probably something that my daughter has picked up too.
Oh, good, good. That's
Yeah.
a sometimes that comes in handy, and I'm like, "Oh, Lord." I can pack a lot of things in a garage, but it's not tight. It's
Uh,
not functional, so but I put a lot in there, so, do I have it right that you are from Long Island?
that's right. I grew up, on Long Island, and we shared between Long Island and Cape Hatteras. So I'm a saltwater kid.
Okay.
Um,
I was
you
looking for
know
the connection.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that's it. On my father's side of our family, been on Hatteras since the mid-1700s, and, his father was transferred in the Coast Guard to Long Island, and, so that's how the Long Island connection. He actually went to high school there and, met my mom and so forth. Had a great career there.
So when did
Yeah.
you move down here?
Um, 2 weeks after graduating high school,
Oh, okay.
"Mom, dad, love you, bye."
So you grew up in Long Island, that was the only place you knew?
Yes, between that and Hatteras.
Okay,
Mhm.
alright. But you
Yep.
realized first couple times you came down to Hatteras, you're like, "How quick can I get out of Long Island?"
Well, yes and no. I mean, I had great childhood growing up. Um, the suburban New York City has its pluses and minuses. At the time, when I was growing up, New York City was in a bad place, and so it wasn't really cool to go there at all. Not like it is today. Um, and so I preferred, the country living, fishing, enjoying the beach all the time, um, and outdoor activities. So that made it a natural to transfer to Hatteras.
So then Mets, Jets, Yankees, Giants, which side of these do you fall on?
So all of the above, the Islanders too, you name it, anything sports in New York, I'm all for it. But I do tend to favor the Yankees. I do like, the Jets, even though they've
No.
been non-existent
Yep.
for a couple decades here now.
Since before your daughter was born, that's for sure.
Um, that's right, that's right. But, when I'm growing up, I was, Mickey Mantle was still playing, and Roger Maris and
Yep.
all the great Yankee players were still, active players.
Yeah.
So we had that good fortune to, see Mickey Mantle strike out more than he hit the ball. He was in the twilight of his
Yes,
career
yeah.
there. Yeah,
He's still
yeah.
enjoying the evening life, right?
Yes, he was,
Now one of the things I like, about this show is a lot of times we'll have a first on the show, and I believe you are a first in that you are a beekeeper?
ah, another one of my hobbies.
Yep.
Yes, I am a beekeeper. It's, an interesting hobby. Um, the bees don't read the manuals.
Oh,
Uh,
like kids.
they sort of, so you think herding cats is bad? You ought to try herding 30, 40,000 bees at a time. Yeah.
How did you get into that?
Um, that's the biology part of me. Um, I actually live in a forest. We have some acreage. There's mostly naturalized forest, and so that's part of my biology too. But beekeeping has always interested me. I was curious about insects. Insects were probably my favorite creatures in my biology studies. So it just kind of lent it a natural extension of all of that. And plus, they make honey.
Yep.
You
Now
know.
we all have the picture of the beekeeper putting on the suit and walking out or wherever into the middle of all the hives. Is it that simple and that easy being a beekeeper?
It is. You have to, you move slowly and steadily, no rapid movements, and generally they're fine. I do. I have a slight allergy to the bee stings, so and
Mm.
it's pretty uncomfortable to get stung. So I still wear the suit and the gloves and everything. There's a lot of folks that don't. They just go right on in there and they're not bothered by the bees aren't really bothered by them.
How much honey do your bees produce?
It varies. Actually, the last 2 seasons, I believe, had like none to give away. I just what the bees made, I let them keep it for themselves because they need to have something to overwinter. But this year is a different story, and usually they're well finished by now making honey, but um, the last 2 weeks, I checked the hives and they're still putting up honey in a major way. So, I'm really happy about that. I'm probably actually tomorrow, I'm gonna spend a good deal of time, harvesting. So, we'll see what comes of that.
Alright, any of your kids pick up on that?
No, when my daughter was home, I says, "Hey, I got another bee suit. You ready to go in?" And she was all excited about it. Yeah, she wanted to do it, but cloudy, rainy days is not a good day to open up hives. So we just had to pass that along.
Are those some of the things you learned the hard way?
No, no, it's pretty obvious. Cloudy days, they navigate by the sun. So most cloudy days, they don't go very far. So when you have a colony in each box is about 50, 40,000 bees. Um, on cloudy days, guess where they're all hanging out?
Yep,
In the hive. Whereas, a nice sunny day, there's a good proportion of them that are out and about.
a beekeeper. Alright. So do you eat a lot of honey?
Um, a fair amount,
Alright,
not a lot. I try to keep my sweet intake
there you go.
pretty low. Yeah.
Do you I'm assuming you have friends that have a standing order for a jar of honey, right?
Yeah. Some guy named Chip Galusha might have something to do with that.
That sounds like our friendship, yeah.
Yeah.
You are also and I say this lovingly, you're a theater nerd, aren't you?
I've been involved in the performing arts since I was a child. So well over 50 years now. I do it semi-professionally. Um, I don't do much acting, mostly on the tech side, um, but been enjoying it for a very long time. It's a lot of fun. There's nothing better than live performances. You have one chance to get it right.
I
Yeah.
I equate that, and I'm a sports nerd, so I equate that to game day, and you're absolutely right. Nothing beats game day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of excitement.
Yeah. And you are also part of is it the Farmville Community Arts Center?
Yeah, the Arts Council, that's
Arts
right.
Council? Okay.
Yep, on the board of directors of that. But I was one of the original members of the Arts Council there, and I'm actually the only living lifetime member of the Arts Council.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Thought there'd be somebody at least older than you, right?
There's not many people older than me.
Well, it begs a question, can you sing and or dance?
Um, well, dancing, I've been paid to dance. Whether you would really call that dancing is not is technically it won't win any prizes
Right.
on Dancing with the Stars, sure. Um, but singing, no. No.
Are you a pretty good actor?
Um, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
What's the favorite show or play you've ever been in?
Oh, hmm. I don't know. I had a lot of fun with You Can't Take It With You. It's a comedy. Um, it's a bunch of weirdos living in a boarding house, and I was one of those weirdos and whatnot.
So, are your acting skills more like Daniel Day-Lewis or John Belushi?
Ah, I wish it was either one.
Are you the
I,
serious actor, though?
no.
Okay, right. So, what do you do behind the scenes?
So anything tech, I can set up the show, design the show, run sound, lights, stage crew, you name it.
Nice. And that's one of the things I love about BNI as well is the type of people that are in it. A lot of people give back to the community. So for you doing it this long, and then also the Children's Miracle Network Telethon, right?
That's right.
30 plus years.
Yes. Um, and again, that is part of the performing arts experience. The telethon is live television, and there's a lot of people actually that even in the television business are not involved with live television. It's a little bit different, um, but it makes it easy. The cameras and the microphones hide a lot of things going on in the place, but it's a lot of fun, and that is a good way of giving back to the community. It's a great charity, and wish that everybody would consider giving when their local children's hospital has a fundraiser. Duke's Children's
Yep.
Hospital
Yeah.
has a
Yeah.
great one too.
Other than local news, there's not much alive anymore, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Triangle BNI is live every Monday at 11 a.m. Thank you, Amnon. Fred, it's been a blast. Enjoyed chatting with you. The Beekeeper, that's a tight knit community, isn't it?
It is. We help each other out a lot,
Yeah.
because it's number one, it's expensive, and it's tricky.
To say the least on the tricky part. Where do the expenses come from?
And the cost of the bees and the equipment is high.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have to buy how often do you have to buy bees?
Fairly often there's a high some of our recent years we've seen as high as 40% failure rate where the colony just completely fails.
Wow. What
Yeah.
causes that?
There are some diseases involved. Um, there is the way the temperatures over the winter. Our springs are kind of weird.
Yeah.
To make it real quick, there'll be a real warm spell in January,
Mhm.
or even in early March. They get really warm, and then the bees get, oh hey, it's springtime, let's go, and they start changing their routines, and then we get slammed with sub freezing weather, and you know for a few weeks afterwards, and that'll kill them.
So you are, definitely dialed in with the weather, aren't you?
Yeah, we have to constantly monitor
Yeah,
the weather.
yeah. Very interesting. I'll have to learn more. Next time we get together, I'd love to learn more about that. Something I do not want to do, but I'm very curious about how that works and why people do it. But anyways,
Yeah.
folks, if you have Wednesday mornings at 8 a.m. available, Fred's group meets via Zoom right now. A good group of folks in the Greenville area. So if you want to meet some business leaders there, that's a great group. Fred, we've appreciated having you on the show today.
Hey, I've been honored.
Yeah.
It's been glad to participate in this.
And we will see everybody next time on Triangle BNI.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.